Hello.
One.
Hello.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making it. My name is Vince Velasco, and I'll be your host this afternoon. And welcome to this second day of the Panasonic Fashion Festival Lifestyle Talk, brought to you by Lumix. So as you can see, the cameras are here on display on the side, and we're using some of them to shoot right now. So today's Lifestyle Talk is titled Director's Cut. In today's discussion, we will discuss fashion films and motion editorials. We will dive into the significance of fashion in motion and in our industry today. So we're also live, I guess, on YouTube and on Facebook as well. So as you can see, I'm joined by a few people here who are very much known in their respective fields. So let's go down the list right now. Our first guest is a resident tastemaker known for his inventive, trippy personal style in both film and music. Silver Belen has explored everything from cinema, advertising, sound design, and narrative fiction. Now, notably, he's a key figure in the emerging new movement for fashion films. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Silver Belen.
Hi.
Now, our second guest has a long list of credentials, so stay with me here. Trust me, you're going to want to hear a lot of this. Our second guest, with a decade's worth of experience and expertise in fashion films, Fold Canela is a name highly respected in the industry, having been recognized as Fashion Filmmaker of the Year by StyleBible.ph in 2013. He has worked with prominent magazine publications, collaborated with top fashion brands, and the zeitgeist and emerging concepts, styles, and movements. Ladies and gentlemen, Fold. And our third guest probably needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. Our third guest is an Emmy Award-winning producer of the Tyra Banks Show and America's Next Top Model. He was the former creative head for TV 100, and now he's the Chief Creative Officer of Art Personas and Panasonic Fashion Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Canandang. So gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. We know you have a lot of experience and expertise. We want to hear from all of you. So let's jump right into it. So our first question here today is, in your own words, what's a fashion film? So let's start with you, Silver. What's a fashion film?
Go. What? Oh. All right. So I think when you think about filmmaking, it's storytelling. And fashion film for me, it centers on fashion. Basically, the fashion that you see is a character in the film. So, and it's a bit more of featured. And I think that's, to me, is how I define fashion film. It's really storytelling, but using fashion as a main character of the film.
Actually, yun, when I first started, parang I remember parang people were like parang judging what a fashion film was. Parang they didn't understand what it was, ganyan. But eventually, parang I realized that parang, yun nga, much like storytelling, fashion films really center around the fashion. So parang it really is focusing on fashion. It's nothing new actually. Even as early as the 60s, the 50s, there were already examples of fashion films, although it wasn't termed as a fashion film yet, more of like just advertising clothes, parang ganon. But now, because of maybe technology, because it's easier to film things, parang it's become a whole sort of subgenre in itself.
Yeah, I just want to add lang na yung fashion film kasi parang maraming category yan eh. Parang hindi lang siya fashion film for a magazine or for a designer or ano. Even yung mga brand videos na ginagawa nila for beauty, for a brand like bag, shoes, clothing brands, yan. Part pa rin siya ng fashion videos, fashion film. Yeah, gusto ko lang.
So I think a question everybody here is curious to find out, how did you guys get started as a filmmaker? Because I'm sure everybody wants to know how. So let's start with you.
Well, ever since kasi, even nung bata pa ako, parang fascinated ako sa moving photos, moving video, VHS, ano pa, times. Oh, yeah.
VHS, yeah.
Yeah. I'm fascinated ako sa filmmaking. Until maybe a decade ago, maybe 8 years ago, nag-assist ako for a fashion photographer for a while. Tapos parang sabi ko, gusto ko talaga gumagalaw yung photo eh. Gusto ko talaga moving eh. Iba talaga yung power ng video. Yeah. I think doon na nag-start until, yeah. Yeah, doon lang.
Okay, sige, I'll show. Okay, meron lang, here are some parang pictures from parang how I eventually found myself doing parang fashion films. I think my first ever parang parang yung first ever touch ko into like videos and movies and moving images and films was MTV. Parang when I was younger, I would watch MTV more than mga anime, ganyan, mga Cartoon Network. So parang I would wait all day just to watch the music video of like one of the songs that I liked when I was younger. And one of the songs that I did like when I was younger was Mariah Carey's Honey. So I don't know if it's just parang siguro yun nga yung parang the little gay boy in me wanting to come out. Pero I just remember that yung first sequence of that music video na parang there's a shot of the girl of Mariah parang being bound on a chair, tapos biglang she does a hair flip, tapos biglang may close-up shot nung Tom Ford stilettos niya na sobrang takbo siya, he's gonna jump on the balcony, and then pagdating niya sa pool, naguhubad siya, nag-iiba yung outfit niya. So parang yun, parang sobrang natuwa lang ako. And then from there, I realized parang, hey, I wanna take up filmmaking eventually. Tapos, with regards to fashion, I remember being, as a kid, whenever we'd have mga out-of-the-country trips, the only entertainment I would have inside the plane was yung mga in-flight magazines. And usually, diba, the first few images in an in-flight magazine are ad campaigns. So like, so as early as 7 years old, I was sort of familiar na with, let's say, Versace, Gucci, ganyan. Until eventually, it moved on to like window displays. So I remember parang I would, whenever I'd pass by a really nice window display, parang I could stand there and just examine it and parang just be fascinated with presenting fashion. Parang regardless if it's photography, if it's videos, na hindi ko pa alam nung time na yon, or window displays. I just really like the whole idea of, you know, parang presenting, creating a fashion story through clothes. And eventually, when I was taking up film, one film that really had a big impact on me was this experimental art film called The Cremaster by Matthew Barney. It's that one, the parang Tiffany blue photo. So it's a whole parang art film. Matthew Barney created 5 films over the course of, I think, more than 10 years. Tapos this particular movie, it's The Cremaster 3. What I liked about it is it doesn't have a narrative. Parang it's really just a series of moving images. Parang you see, it just follows that character in, I think, the Guggenheim Museum. Tapos parang he's encountering like different personalities. So what I appreciated in that film was, even if there wasn't any story, I saw that, you know, production design, fashion, music, movements all came together and yun, created a whole different narrative, I think. A different take on the narrative. So, yun.
Mike, what about you?
To be honest, I really don't think of myself as a filmmaker because my core background was a producer. My background is television. So I became a filmmaker because of budget constraints. You know, I'm from the US. My first job was Jerry Springer, but like, what looks good, what doesn't. That's why my fallback is, anytime I execute anything that's fashion film related, it has to tell a story. Because I think that's what I'm strong at. I may not be strong visually, but I know what a good story is or how to come up with a story. So with that said, going back, it's a fallback because I started A lot of you know what's great? A lot of my colleagues up here on stage actually we also shoot, we edit, we tell. So we do everything. So it's not your standard advertising directors that a lot of them they need a big crew. We you send us somewhere and it's just be us and we can come up with an entire editorial just walang battery. Okay. So with that, so parang I started really because with Mega. When I came back to the Philippines, Mega, even when I was a top model, I never did anything that's like, fashion related. I mean, I produced photo shoots, but to get the girls to do something like funny or crazy, but not thinking like visually, oh, this would look so beautiful or it's gonna send this message of what fashion should be, has nothing to do with that. It was just when I started working for Mega and I thought, oh, we should do a fashion documentary because you're going to all these countries, but really I just wanted to go. So I was finding a position for myself and they couldn't bring, and I said, well, they couldn't, so I'll just shoot. You fake it till you make it. So they bring you along thinking like, oh, I can do a fashion documentary. And like, I had no idea how to do it. So thank God we came up with something. But so yeah, so bottom line, like unlike my two colleagues here, who I think have a really strong background in fashion and really has this, they're passionate and they're fans of fashion. This was my fallback because I needed a job. And that's a job that people wanted me to do. But really, it's because they didn't have any money.
Well, it worked out well. It worked out well for all of you, and then hey, I mean, it brought out your creative side because of budget constraints and all of that. But yeah, I mean, but to be fair, all of you, it panned out pretty well for all of you. You guys are sitting here in front of this crowd right now. But I want to ask, while we're on the subject, what got you into the platform of motion editorials? I know you all slightly touched on it already, but try to get into it deeper. Or fashion films. How do you get into motion editorials or fashion films? Let's start with you.
Yeah. Well, parang di ko lang parang batchmates tayong lahat tatlo no. Parang when
No, actually, to be honest, I think
well,
to be honest, I think
locally.
he started first. No, because when I was in the US, I would watch. I was still a top model, and I was so familiar with this work. Did you do the Chris Diaz one? That was the first one I saw with Chris Diaz with the powder and this para like that tribal feel. And when I saw that, I was like, who is this guy? And I remember going back to Manila for the first time, and I wanted to track the two of them. Because it was a tandem. Parang, but yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think he was really the first who started anything that's fashion, motion related. Just to give props.
I don't mean to cut you off, but as soon as you said that, saw a few people bring out their phones. I have a feeling they were good at Google, whatever he mentioned.
And Christy did a really good show last night too. So parang it's yeah, I remember that.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, don't cover the bottom because that's where that.
Hello? Yeah. Kailan yun? Like 2012, yeah. 2012 yun yung parang yeah, parang si Fall nga yung nag-introduce ng mga fashion films na yung mga malalang fashion films. Like tapos ako noon, parang ako yung parang videographer naman sa mga clothing brands. So mga fashion na ginagawa kong film, more on like sa mga clothing brands, yan. Tapos si Fold yung mga high fashion, yan, yung mga metro. Yeah. Yeah, parang ganun. Dumating lang sa point na yung video hinanap na ng dahil sa technology, siguro lahat ng store nagtayo ng like mga LEDs, Instagram nagkaroon na ng videos. Nagkataon lang siguro, yeah, like kailangan na siyang, I mean,
Cope with technology.
yeah.
But right time, right place meets prepared.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, parang ganun.
Yun, I think it was around, okay, I remember, actually back in film school pa lang, I would do projects na parang, that was more about fashion rather than just filmmaking. Tapos, eventually, I went
Sorry,
into...
Fold, I don't mean to cut you off, but for those who don't know, where did you study?
I took filmmaking in UP, and then after I took fashion in SOFA. Tapos eventually when I got into SOFA, syempre pabibo ako kunwari. Since graduate ako ng film, I would do projects na video. Tapos parang syempre nung time niya, bago, ano yan, ganyan. Tapos eventually, right after I graduated, a friend of mine from SOFA wanted to have a video for her brand. Tapos parang, okay, sige, I will do it. Pero parang at that time, I was ready to like say goodbye to film. Kasi parang I was really into fashion na. Tapos parang, okay, sige, why not? Let's do it. Tapos yun, I think it really is, parang, I think both of us, all of us, we took advantage of yung technology at the time because it was parang, I think, cameras or DSLRs with video capability just recently came out during that time. So parang, like, with me, syempre my background is like medyo formal filmmaking. I was really parang, I don't want to do a film anymore kasi parang hassle to get like, a gazillion people to work on something. But then suddenly, because of that new technology, parang, I can do it by myself. Parang pwede, why not? I mean, I could offer this as something to like brands or designers na parang you don't really have to book like a whole advertising agency or a whole production house just to create a film. So parang why not? Sige. So I guess yun lang. Parang I guess perfect timing lang for all of us. And we all started roughly at the same time. And then it became like easy to get into fashion films because no one was doing it yet at the time. Yes.
Yeah, to add lang parang before ako mag-fashion filmmaking, parang nasa TV na ako eh. I'm directing TV shows tapos into filmmaking. So yun, parang wala talagang fashion video nun that time, 2011, 12. Yeah. I remember nga nun parang may isang shoot, na-book nila ako as mag-shoot akong behind the scenes video kasi yun yung uso pa dati. Behind the scenes, ganyan. Tapos sabi ko sa client like, pwede ko bang i-direct yung model? Like, i-direct ko siya ganito, ganyan. Sure. Doon na nag-start yung ano ko, parang narrative na fashion film, ganyan. So, hindi na siya naging BTS, so nag-evolve na. Tapos parang na-inspire din yata ako sa mga works ni Fold that time eh. Parang siya yung gumagawa ng mga ano eh. Yeah, doon lang.
Mike, I know you've already touched on some of it, but is there anything you want to add on how you got into all of this?
Yun. Actually, the first time I heard fashion film was with Tyra. That we did this one for Cycle 15. That was when I came into Top Model, was Cycle 15. And then when we were going to Milan, she kept talking about a fashion film, which was, I think, yeah, she did one with the top girls na in this parang chateau or this parang villa na nasa garden, blah, blah, blah. And then a year later, it became a thing. And I wanted to show it sana, but then I watched it and it was terrible. Sabi ko, oh my God, nakakahiya pakita to. It was the one on Cycle 17, diba? Yung parang she wrote a book called Modelan and she wanted to do oh my God, it's live, no? Tangina. Sorry, I swear. Tatagalogin ko na lang. Kasi live pala eh. Hindi. Hindi kasi napanood.
Everybody loves your honesty.
Hindi, pero napanood ko, hindi siya maganda, nakakahiya pakita. Pero ang naganda ang proud ako kasi lahat ng design, 'di ba kay Michael Cinco. So, pero yung bang parang napaka-straight, parang galing hindi kasi pangit naman sabihin na graduate ka lang eh. Pero parang ganung level lang siya. Pati yung mga cuts niya, parang yung tuwang-tuwa ka sa yun. Kabibili mo lang ng Mac mo at may movie maker. Sa lahat ng transitions, lahat ng filter, ginamit mo. Ganun yung feeling. So, hindi ko na siya pinakita. Imagine nyo na lang. It's Googleable.
I have a feeling, Mike, a lot of people are on Google right now.
But that was the first time I heard about fashion films. And then the next time I thought like, as a real platform was when I saw his work. And specifically, Chris Diaz, the motion ed na yun. Yun yung talagang, wow, nakakaloka.
Can I add some? Ayun, I think diba, the term motion editorial started with Top Model. Pero I remember parang, I think, parang historically siguro, parang there's this British designer, si Gareth Pugh. He did, diba, usual fashion show, diba, you'd have models walking on a runway. I think this was around 2011, 2010. Instead of a typical fashion show, what he did was he presented a film. So parang yung mga guests, parang, okay, they walk into the venue. Parang, okay, sige, fashion show. But then, suddenly, instead of the models coming out, nanonood lang silang film. So, parang I think that was, in more recent times, that was the first instance siguro of fashion on video talaga. Na it was really the main, ano to, main yes, main medium, main way to present clothes na videos. Parang, tas yun, I think it just gave ideas to like everyone na parang, okay, go, kaya magazines, oh, let's make a video version of this fashion editorial. Or brands, let's make a ganito, ganito. So I think nagtuloy-tuloy na lang siya, especially with technology now.
So since you guys brought it up, you brought up motion editorials and how the term came about. How important is it in the world of fashion today? How important are motion editorials?
You know, I think social media changed the game. I think, especially with before, the main platform to present your clothes is really through photography, through print. But as we all know, times has changed. Now, you gotta have more than one way of presenting your clothes, and video, motion editorial is really an important part of it. So, like now, you can't do a shoot na walang video. It's like it goes hand in hand, diba? Parang ganun na siya ngayon. So I think now if you're really not a photographer, and then you really want to be part of fashion, you're not a designer, and you're not a model type, video is the way to go. So yeah.
Hey, take it from the expert, everybody. Take it from the expert. Video is the way to go. Go ahead, Paul.
Yun. Like, siguro from experience lang din, when I started, parang I'd be given like 1 minute, literal, or 2 minutes to shoot video. Pero the main, pa rin talaga, the main output was still photos. But then now, parang, it's baliktad na. It's the opposite. Parang, sometimes I could demand pa talaga na, gusto ko ng sarili kong setup. Parang, ayokong sabay kami ng photographer or something like that. So parang, yeah, yun nga, I guess with technology, kailangan siya. But I think it's still complementary to like photos. I don't think one is more important than the other. It's just complements each other. Whereas with photos, you can produce like one single image and then sobrang ganda niya. With video naman, at least you get to see like a different angle, a different translation, a different, mood, which can complement the photos, or even parang pwedeng yung video yung mas mataas and then the photos would be complementary.
Yeah, I'm not saying na mas okay yung video sa photo pero parang ito lagi kong joke sa kanila Yung photo, a single photo, wait lang, yung video sa isang second may 24 photos. So doon pa lang parang advantage na agad yung video like nowadays, 'di ba, sa Instagram, sa YouTube, anywhere, sa social media, parang na-realize nila na mas marami silang napapakitang like outfit, brands, products sa isang post ng video compared sa isang photo. So parang I think for me mas important yung video sa akin personally. Pero I'm not saying na hindi okay yung photo Walang
Just to be clear. Just to be clear.
Baka maraming yeah.
Siguro, Siguro, I think at the end of the day, yung parang importante pa rin is really your intention. Kuya, you're as a brand, as a designer, or as an artist, if you dabble in both photo and video, parang yung intention mo, how do you want your work to be presented? In the form of a video ba? In the form of photos? Kasi really, at the end of the day, parang I think kung ano yung medium mo, that's part of yung message mo or your concept or whatever you want to say.
So I think now, Mike, would you want to say anything? So now talking about, how you want to present your work, how do you go about the creative side, the creative process, and what's your source of inspiration, especially for nowadays the motion editorials and the fashion films? What's your creative process and where's your source of inspiration?
You wanna? Sige.
Oh, sige lang. Play natin. Uh, Ito I think for a brand. Clothing brand. You can create a... Go. Ay, lumabas ko. Minutag ko lang yung mga videos. Okay, great yung process ko sa filmmaking. Parang musician talaga ako before ako nag-video eh. So parang ako, mas nauuna ako maghanap ng music or mas na-inspire ako pag meron akong music na pinapakinggan bago ako mag-shoot. So yung mga videos na yon, piniplayback ko yung music na yon sa shoot. Or kung hindi man yun yung actual music, I think yun yung music na, yung vibes ng music na pinapatugtog ko. So yun. Yeah, yun lang. Yeah, mas sa music yung mas pinagkukunan ko lang inspirations lagi. Yeah. Go.
Okay. With me, my inspirations parang it really depends. I can be inspired by a lot of, the most random things. But especially if it's like a medyo, kunyari, parang let's say a client approaches me and say na parang, oh, bahala ka na. You can do whatever you want to do with this video. So parang ako, I really need to parang take in a lot of inspiration or to really research. So like I had this one video from way back. Parang this was for the designer Jerome Salayaang. His inspiration for the collection was really about Victorian fashion in the before. And then parang he also shared na parang his father, I think, passed away while he was in the process of creating his clothes. So parang immediately, nung sinabi niya Victorian, parang I remember in the early days of photography, people would take photos of the dead, parang post-mortem photography. Siguro kasi parang, di ba, dati when you take a photo, a single photo can take as long as parang having your painting done. So parang it started with that, and then eventually I realized na parang I have this book in my library at home na The Three Incestuous Sisters, which looks like a children's illustrated book, pero hindi. Medyo dark siya. Tapos yun, so parang I think it just everything talaga just came together. Like me being parang into fashion history as well, parang I wanted to play then with yung idea of corseting, how dangerous it was dati in the early days. So, ayun, parang yun, this is the end product of all that, parang research and inspiration. This one, parang basically it tells the story of like parang three sisters na they seem like they're, just having their photograph taken or parang they're preparing themselves for a photo shoot, but iba pa rin.
Wow.
Ganda.
I don't even know what to say. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Let's go to the next question.
No, Mike. No, Mike, please go ahead.
Exactly, right? I mean, that's why when, yeah, exactly. And I think it's, although, I must say though, dude, 2012 mo pa yung ginawa, sundan mo na. Let's do one in April, like a big one. We're gonna show it right here, all right? So, we should, yeah, we're gonna talk. Anyway, wait, what was the question? It's like, where do you get inspiration?
Where do you think? What's your creative process like? Where do you get
okay.
inspiration?
Right, guys. Ako naman, fashion. My version of fashion film is through fashion documentaries. So, ang process ko reverse. I shoot everything. I see. I observe and you know, I I try to be to get as much footage as I can and then to be yun. And then sa editing room yung magic nangyayari. But I do agree with them. And I have a couple of team members that I used to work with from TV100 are here. So si Josh and si Jasper. And they know my process. I always start with the music. Like, so if you really want to do a video and if you wanted to know, it's really you start with the music because the music sets the tone and the vibe. Yeah. You know, that's for editor. Yeah, I think of myself as an editor, like when I think of visually. But I like what you said, starting with the mood board. That kind of sets the story because now I'm going to use that also. So I'll share just one video kasi hello. Yeah, kasi we in a 5 years I was with Mega, I think we did around hello, mga 12 or 13 documentaries, parang ganun eh. Like we did a lot. So, but one of the things that we parang yeah, so one, I'll just show na lang yung ano ginawa ni Jasper kasi nandito siya at isa siyang fan ni Fold. So, pasikat ka naman Jasper. Ito ba 'yan? Ayan oh, music pa lang oh. So obviously what we do is trailers naman yung for Iceland.
We cannot leave Iceland without an iconic cover.
Yun, si Jasper gumawa niyan. But so parang we all different ways. I think, and to be honest, I feel so privileged to be able to travel to I don't know how many countries with Mega and to be able to shoot those documentaries. Kasi you know, as not a fashion guy at all, you realize how much hard work and how unglamorous it is and how much is at risk. You know, you can't control the weather, you can't control the crowd, you can't control anything. So, and then so when you know, parang Sari once said, you can't go all the way to Machu Picchu and come back that looks like it was shot in a studio. So parang maraming, you realize that the world of fashion, it's really about capturing a moment and being, and hopefully through these documentaries, we're able to show that it was hard work. So yeah, yun lang.
It showed quite clearly. I mean, from them walking up to the setups, to I'm sure all the clothes, all the gear that you guys had to bring. I mean, it must have been.
Saka, no, we had, for people who do documentaries, you have to constantly shoot. Kasi you never know when you're gonna get the moment. Unlike when something is very laid out in a storyboard that this is what we're gonna do. Fashion documentaries, I'm the first one to wake up and the last one to go to bed. I have to get the sunrise, I have to get them coming out, I have to get them packing, and then I need to think like angles. Kasi syempre, hindi naman dapat dito lang yan. I have to get a point of view from here, I have to go over here, I have to go over there, I have to get a soundbite. And then, since budget reason, ako lang nang doon, I have to think in my head, paano ba to i-edit? Ano ba yung kulang? Ano ba yung kailangan ko? Kasi the worst thing I can do is come back to my editor and then like, sir, wala akong pantahe. Or, sir, kulang kayo sa B-roll. Sir, sinasabi niya to, wala naman kayong pakita. So it's really like, even though it's really fun and it's for those who want to to do fashion documentaries, it's fun because you get to really get to know people, but at the same time it's hard because you can't be lazy about it. Because you're constantly because moments in fashion happens in an instant. If you're not there to, and even photographers, diba, it's like it's the movement that they want to do. So yun.
So you guys touched on it. You guys talked about designers. You've talked about brands. You've talked about fashion magazines. Are there different approaches in working with each?
Yeah. I have samples here na I did for magazine and brands. So, yeah. Mga excerpts lang to. The next clips naman yung, yeah, I did for brand. Okay, to differentiate yung dalawang category, like paano kami magtrabaho for brands and for magazines, meron lang simple na parang, paano ba? When I do films for magazine, parang tinitreat ko siya na parang painting. Meron akong freedom, meron kaming, like, wala kaming walls, wala kaming, diba? Wala tayong, basta may creative freedom, lahat meron. Kahit naman sa brand din, Though sa brand, kailangan faithful ka dun sa brand. Kasi it's advertising. For me, it's a billboard na gumagalaw. So parang, that's why yung mga brand videos ko, fashion films na video, for brands, faithful pa rin ako sa product. Kasi, ayun yung purpose ng video. So, yun. So, yun. Yeah. Parang, basically, it's the same. It's the same creative process. Pero, magkaiba lang ng
Your approach at constraint.
Approach,
Yeah, it's just a little different, I guess. Especially if you have something the brand is wanting to say.
Yes.
And you want to bring it with your process then with what you want to say as well. What about you, Fog?
I'll show one video na kunyari what I do for magazines. Tapos I'll show parang a commercial. A commercial. Whereas kung medyo parang commercial, so like with me, kunyari, like what Silver said earlier, usually with magazines, kasi parang, in a way, yun nga, medyo mas mababa yung budget compared to like your typical brand or designer or whatever client. The magazines let you express yourself or parang allow you na parang, okay, sige, bahala ka na. Because we know na ito lang yung budget namin. So you can use this really as a means to like promote yourself or like express yourself, experiment, ganyan. So that's what I do. So sometimes parang nagkakaroon ng mga instances na parang, especially with magazines, na parang ibubuka nila, tapos, shoot ka lang. Tapos biglang pag-uwi mo, parang, wait lang, ano nangyari? Or anong pwede kong gawin? Kasi hindi, yun nga, sometimes masyadong mapilisan. They would book you the night before or something. So parang, yun talaga, I think, na for me, mas natetest ako to experiment and to play around and to, just do whatever. Pero I guess with commercials, since mas malaki yung, they have a bigger budget and they know that mas malaki yung mawawala sa kanila if ever, things don't go according to plan. There's a lot more pressure. So also, you also have to think about the brand identity of the client. So like for example, ito with kunyari something as medyo siguro wholesome as this particular brand kanina, you have to take that into consideration even if kunyari that's not your style or that's not who you are.
Yeah.
But you have to adjust.
Even colors lahat. Colors, the font na gagamitin, lahat Pag sa brands, may ganun talaga. Siyempre, kailangan nilang i-protect din yung image ng brand. Whereas sa magazines kasi, yeah, malaya ka eh. Tsaka, well, for me mas okay yung collaboration sa magazines, no? Sa editorial, I mean, sa magazines, no? Iba rin sa brand eh. Parang yan.
So actually, yun, in regards to that, parang whenever I get to work with magazines, I always ask talaga, can you see the clothes first? Tapos, anong hair and makeup? Tapos gusto ko, like, I really like touching. As in, magsispend ako ng siguro mga 10 minutes dun sa dressing area. As in, nakahawakan ko lang yung damit, titingnan ko lang yung damit. Because I think na hello. The clothes really have to be the star of the video. So I take inspiration from that. Parang ganun.
Yeah, dagdagan ko rin yun. Ginagawa namin yun lagi. Parang check namin yung damit, yung makeup. Kasi kailangan makita sa video kung paano sinusuot yung damit. Parang ganun. Kailangan mag-project doon yung makeup na, like yun. So very important yun. Doon nangyayari yung collaboration na sinasabi ko. Sometimes, yung makeup artist pa yung magsasabi, oy, kunan mo dito sa side na to kasi nandito yung ano, or yung stylist. Sabihin niya, ito yung ano, flow ng dress, maganda dito sa side na to. So yun, sa brands, wala eh. Naka-deck na yan eh. Nakasulat na yan sa PowerPoint. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Ito yung styling, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, there are two things lang naman that's gonna be the difference between category. It's the budget and your creative freedom. So with magazines, magazines, they may not have a lot of budget. They may not even pay you, but they'll promote you, and they'll credit you. They'll even say thank you, and put it on Instagram. Diba? They will do that, which is good for somebody who's trying to build a portfolio. But a lot of times, they wouldn't pay you a lot of money. Probably, they would just feed you sometimes. Sometimes. And that's the best way to build a portfolio is to work with magazines. Because if you're willing to do it for nothing and they think you're talented, you're able to work with models and celebrities, and you're able to create, films or video content and stuff like that. Brands, I think there's less creative freedom, but they'll pay you money and they won't credit you. Designers, to me, is the most ideal because they'll spend money because they're artists themselves. So if you feel like if you sell them on a vision that I need Band-Aid and I need ganito and I need this, and the designer really wants to tell that story, they'll find the money. So parang it's always the two way. It's like, are you willing to give up creative freedom or are you willing to give up money? And then dun lang siya magtitweak.
So you guys have all worked with, different brands, different locations, different people. How important is your camera rather in capturing all of this? How important is it?
Hey. Meron akong joke dati pa. Parang sabi ko, when I do videos, basta may record button yan, okay yan. Kasi hindi naman mahalaga kasi rin yung anong camera yan or ano. Well, siguro, when you do commercials, yeah. Pero parang, dapat mas important yung story or yung paano may execute yung video. By the way, yung video na pinakita ko kanina sa brand, I shot it with Lumix camera. So yun. Yun lang. Gusto ko lang sabihin. Yeah, yun lang.
Yun, actually. I mean, siguro, well, syempre because of technology nga, because of innovations and like, kunyari, let's say, new orientations in viewing videos na horizontal. Yeah, syempre, you have to take that into consideration na parang, okay, is my camera capable of shooting like this, like that, ganyan, blah, blah, blah. But, yun nga, at the end of the day, I do agree na parang, parang as long as you have a great story, you can shoot it in any format. Yun nga, sinasabi ko rin before na parang, baka, kunyari kung may 16mm film camera kayo, hello, ayan. Or yung mga lumang cameras, why not, diba? Baka pwedeng mini DV, alam mo yun, it will create, it can be part of like your concept or, your presentation. Will add a different texture, a different quality to your works. But you do have to consider that, especially in cases like commercial works, it has to be medyo top of the line, or it has to be appropriate for whatever output the client is requesting or requiring.
What about you, Mike? Especially for the stuff you just showed us. I mean, those are all in different locations. I mean,
Yeah, well, it depends on what you're using it for. For documentaries, it has to be point and shoot. Eh. So parang, I can't be changing lenses. So it has to be a camera that's like, I can point it, shoot it, it looks good. It's 4K, it's HD, or whatever. It's like, so that. But, ako naman, kasi I'm a fan of filmmaking. So when I see something really beautiful, I always think like, what camera did they use? Kasi alam ko there's only so much you can do in post-production. And sometimes and lighting is super expensive. So parang if you can't afford good lighting, you better afford a good camera. Kasi some cameras, you don't need much lighting setup. Sometimes you can shoot in low light. Sometimes you can just do a pin light and it gives you a nice effect. So to me, parang, because, we're not like a big commercial production team here where we get like a lighting designer and all that stuff. I always request a certain type of camera that I know it will help in post. Kasi I always think like an editor. I always think like, how am I gonna make the process easier when we start editing the project? And to me, if I give them like things na parang, kasi sometimes kahit wala kang storya, pero ang ganda tingnan, nadadala eh. Di ba totoo yun? Parang, wow, ang cinematic pero walang nangyayari.
So nakakalimutan pa minsan ng mga tao yung storya. Kasi nadadala sa...
Nakita mo yung sa Katniel, di ba? Puro cinematic lang yan. Walang storya. So... But to me, camera is important only because I know good lighting kasi is important eh. So, pero if you can't afford good lighting, then good camera will do.
So you guys have given a lot of insights. We have a lot of aspiring videographers, filmmakers here, and a lot of people watching live right now on Facebook and YouTube. Do you recommend that they buy all these equipment, software, cameras, and so on? Would you recommend that they buy?
Paano ba? Well, kasi ako, I started from the bottom eh. Parang nangihiram lang ang camera eh. For me siguro, hiramin mo muna yung gusto mong bilhin na camera. I-try mo muna lahat ng camera ang pwedeng i-try. Yung Panasonic, generous yan, nagpaperam ng camera. Yan. After a year, hindi naman pala yun yung gusto niyang parang ganun. Binenta niya lang ulit. So feeling ko kailangan mo namang research or try muna, ganyan. Yan.
Yeah, yun nga, it would be great, especially if you're just starting out, na you get to test, you get to research, you get to try talaga different types of cameras and see what works best for you as a photographer. There are certain cameras na mas better for travel videos kasi mas magaan, mas madali gamitin. But if you want to go into like more commercial works, yun, I mean, syempre mas top of the line stuff yung kailangan mo doon. But if you're sure that you want to get into videography or you want to really make that into a career, I suggest get a good camera talaga. More than anything, more than the lights, more than whatever, yun yung una mong investan. Because that will be yun yung bread and butter mo eh, yung camera mo eh. It's gonna be, you would survive siguro the first few projects na you're just renting out, but eventually it will be easier if you have your own equipment. Mas madali to book jobs, mas madali to work. At least, you're using your own rather than parang sobrang concerned ka lagi na you're just renting out, you're just borrowing, diba? But, yun.
I agree.
You agree? All right, well, moving 4K camera with that function. And at that time, videographers and filmmakers had a hard time accepting it. So now every manufacturer, every camera maker has that function. It has to follow suit. So my question here is, what are the benefits in shooting in 4K, and are Filipinos ready for it?
We have shooter here ba? Like, videographers in this room. Videographers. Wala, ito mo videographer. Ikaw videographer ka. Aside from the one that actually taking videos. Kasi I didn't understand 4K before. And I actually didn't understand. understood it in the editing room. Kasi with 4K, actually Panasonic I think was one of the first that came up with 4K, and then now they even have 8K. So dinoble pa yung resolution. What you can do is you can crop it in. So for example, you did a wide shot and you wanted to be able to do a close up. With 4K, you can really zoom in. Na mukha siyang it was intentional. Rather than, sometimes kasi if it's just HD or if it's standard, you zoom in, you lose the clarity and the focus. So it helps in editing. So sometimes, ito, kunyari, one-man show ka lang kasi ikaw lang naman yung camera, then you're doing an interview. You need to be able to do a two-shot and you need to be able to do a close-up. Ang 4K, pwede mo i-close up to. Back to two-shot, close-up, back to two-shot. Feeling mo, 3-cam setup, pero isa lang.
I hope they're all taking notes. Even the people who are
Diba?
watching live, you should start shooting in 4K.
So yeah, when you get 4K, it helps with,
Yeah, kasi parang ang format pa rin sa atin, full HD, lang nga pinoproject sa online. Minsan nga, di binababa pa nila to 720p, di ba? Lalo yung Instagram. So yung 4K talaga, yeah, I agree with Mike na parang two-shot na agad yung nakukuha mo sa isang shot lang. Yeah, nang hindi nagsasuffer yung quality, di ba? Yeah. Lalo na sa videographers like us, parang, 5 minutes ka lang dyan mag-shoot, So parang, wala, dayain mo na lang. Okay, sige, 5 minutes. Medium shot. May close-up na ako. Ganun, medium shot. Yeah.
Just to add din siguro, especially nga with 4K, I mean, now, di ba, because of Instagram, di ba, there is IGTV, so it helps then, I think, shooting in 4K. Kasi at least, you can crop it to kung ano yung size talaga ng IGTV or Instagram stories or ganyan. And then just, Hello, ayan. As opposed to parang dadayain mo, you lose quality, you lose resolution, you lose, it becomes pixelated, diba? So it does have advantages, especially now, because nagbabago nga yung technology. And I think it's right about time that people, siguro here in the Philippines, also adapt to, to technology, to new things.
So speaking of technology, we're going to go to a bit more of the technical side. So most cameras codecs are 4x2x0 or 8-bit or about 60 Mbps. And the Lumix flagship cameras have about 4x2x2 and 10-bit. So why would someone want to have a higher codec or bit rate? And what is the advantage of having this?
Okay, it seems technical, but it's actually you need to know. Kasi I didn't... hello. Iba ako, always, how can I make the post-production an easier process? Now, and that's why when you shoot, it's best that you get the camera that's really gonna help post better. Whether it's gonna give the look, kahit low light siya, maganda yung output. Kasi the higher the codec
Or bit rate.
Yeah, the bit rate. Because the new parang GH5 and Lumix, the new cameras that they have, it's good for green screen. So if you wanted to be able to do green screen and you wanted to be able to mask it easily, kasi yun yung pinakamahirap, that camera, the higher it is, the better it is for post. So I think it's important that if you really are gonna think about, investing in a camera or the output that you want, the right camera, Kasi actually, anybody who's in production, a lot of times people feel like, ayusin lang yung sa post. Ayusin ko lang yung sa post. It's not true. You can't, you can do only so much in post-production, but if you, from the shooting process pa lang, gets the right camera, has the right storyboard, has mapped it out, ang dali niyang i-post, and it's gonna be 10 times better pa than you imagine.
Yeah, kasi parang, the higher the bit rate kasi, mas detalyado yung image eh. So parang for me na gumagawa ng commercial film, mas mahalaga yung for me, mas okay yung mas higher bit rate. Like, yeah.
Saka yung color
sa color grading.
Saka yung color grading. Actually, dude, take note. Color grading. Yeah, so it'll give you a wider range of colors and it gives you more detail. So, ayan.
Fold, anything to add?
Hello, ayan. So yun nga, I mean, I guess yun. I mean, if you get parang, ano to, parang, I remember when I started, parang I thought it was just, parang just get a good camera, tapos okay na yun. Parang tapos na yung problema mo, ganyan. Maganda yung lens mo, okay na siya. But then now, you realize na parang there's so much more to like just, you know, having a good basic camera. Parang you have to really understand yung mga technical, the technical differences that, you know, you get when you invest in a better camera, in the best camera. So, parang siguro to like the naked viewer, to the typical audience, parang hindi nila masyadong marirealize yon. But, you know, in the long run, it will be different. You know, it will give you the best parang quality that you want to give your clients or your audience.
So just talking about cameras a little bit more. So in most Lumix cameras, there's an IBIS rather. So that's in-body image stabilization. How does that help in shooting, and how does that help you with your work?
Ito yung stabilizer ng camera. Ayun yung favorite feature ko ng camera eh. Kasi parang ako, super rock and roll ako mag-shoot eh. Hawak ko lang yung camera, handheld. Sobrang rare ko mag-tripod eh. Di ko alam kung tamad lang ako or yung style ko lang siguro. Kaya yung nagkaroon ng Lumix before, meron silang IBIS technology. Sobrang na-enjoy ko yun. Sobrang enjoy ko dun sa camera yun. Kasi hawak ko lang siya eh. Tapos, floating yung parang nag-float lang yung camera mo. Pero handheld. So yun. Sobrang favorite ko yun.
Actually, yun, I was able to do, I think 2 projects using a Panasonic Lumix. Parang one was, I used it in an international shoot. Tapos yun, parang ang galing. I mean, I didn't really realize na parang iba pala yung image stabilization niya. Na, yun nga, I mean, if you shoot international or destination shoot, sometimes wala ka talagang time to really set up on a tripod or set up on a gimbal or whatever. So, my problem pa naman with my hands, medyo shaky siya. So, it really does help. Sometimes even in, kunyari, kung meron ka ng mga crane or gimbals, sobrang ang ganda pa nung parang overall effect niya. Alam mo yun, mas less shaky, less ano. So, it's a very important feature, especially now, kasi whether if you're a professional videographer or just parang, you know, you want to just shoot for your own vlog or whatever, YouTube account, diba? Parang it's so, at least madali yung buhay mo to bring your camera, just your camera wherever you go.
All right, well, for me, I'm down to my last question because I know Mike covers this topic a lot with what we just answered. But I want to ask you guys, because everybody here wants to know this and our viewers want to know this. What advice do you have to give to aspiring filmmakers? Because I'm sure they want to hear everything they can get from you. So I'm going to start with you and then we'll work down the line.
Okay, advice. Siguro hello. Siguro non-stop practice lang, tsaka research. Yeah, that's important. Very important mag-research at mag-practice. Yeah, there you go.
Siguro aside from yun nga, of course you have to hone your technical stuff. I think especially with fashion filmmaking, since it's such a new thing pa rin dito sa Philippines, parang you have to build or you have to create your own vision. Parang I think it all starts with vision and everything else will follow. Yung mga, yung concept mo, ganyan, yung whatever camera you want to use, whatever editing softwares you want to use, everything else will follow as long as you hone your vision, you hone your eye, you hone your taste for filmmaking. And since it's such a new industry pa rin, I would always tell people to just experiment. Kasi you never know what would happen if you don't experiment. Experiment, kuyari, gawa ka ng film na wala ka talagang ilaw. Pwede, why not, diba? Find a way. Or parang, instead of having models, baka pwedeng damit lang. Alam mo yun, parang paglaruan niyo siya, just experiment. And try and practice. Yun lang.
What about you, Mike?
I want lang ito add lang na siguro pala ang most important pa na dapat meron ka is yung attitude mo. Feeling ko yun talaga eh. Attitude, pag wala yung okay na attitude mo, I mean, wala kami dito, feeling ko. Yeah. Ayun lang.
Yeah. Okay. Aray. Sorry. Um, to be building on what they said, like my only advice to anybody wants to parang enter the world of fashion film or video, it's really collaboration. I think you really have to look for people with similar intentions and similar passions. Kasi you can't do a film or a fashion film just by yourself. You can't be the only artistic person in the room, and you can't be the one that only knows what needs to happen. I think the reason that we feel very fortunate to be where we are now and we have a body of work to show because we were able to work with amazing stylists, amazing creative directors, amazing hair and makeup team. I mean, fashion films are not just done by one person. There's a village that allows you to create that beautiful image. So with that said, aside from getting a camera and all that, like find aspiring makeup artists who wants to do work, budding designer that wants a video is willing to do it for you. Even now, accomplished designers are looking for budding videographers or to collaborate with. So I think my tip is you find people with similar minds. You find people who you not outside of your circle that you feel like, hey, I really think this person is great. Like, to be honest, when I knew Fold because when I was in the US, the first one I did it was young designers competition. I wanted to do motion editorials. I got him, and because I wanted to observe how he does it. So it doesn't have to be but you do need to know how to collaborate with people because the work that you see now that's amazing. It took an entire village to make that image happen.
Siguro just one last, I mean, especially for budding or, parang starting in the industry. How you sometimes, diba, parang mixing photos with video in like a single post. So there's so much, parang, I think now, there's so much room to experiment. All you have to do is, parang just trust your vision and trust yourself na, you're gonna get through it.
All right, so I know you guys absorbed a lot of information, but we have time for about maybe one or two questions. I want to ask. All right, so nobody? By the way, they're here for now, so once we get off stage, feel free to approach them. I'm sure they're all very friendly, and it all seems like they are the one. So please give a round of applause to Mike, Fold, and Silver. Thank you all for being with us today. So once again, this is the second day of our talks brought to you by Panasonic, of course, and Lumix. So thank you all for being here and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun. Thank you. Mike, I'll be with you till tomorrow.